big, and it was, you know, like a wood screw bent on a big huge trophy, and I forget what the story was.
I don't know either. That was
Well, just use your imagination.
I don't know.
may have had something to do with Route 2.
What's that?
Yeah. Yeah, you can do it, Mike.
So how you feeling, Doug?
Feeling overwhelmed.
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 Well, it was great driving down by myself to think about coming to honor Uncle Don and 90 years of being here on this earth, and what a great thing to be able to live that long, for one, and to live such a wonderful life. And I know we're not supposed to bring presents, but I had a picture that I'd love for Uncle Don to open from a reunion, and it's Uncle Don and some of us that were with him on the boardwalk in Ocean City. And obviously, my memories of Uncle Don are just about bringing family together and bringing us all, all our love together. And he told so many stories of whether it was sports or being in the Navy. And the thing that stands out to me about Uncle Don is his intensity. And I think if I were ever to go against him in any kind of sporting event, it'd be a problem. Because the way he would just tell the story, I can't even imagine what it would be like in real life with the guy. Because he just has such a fire in his eyes, and he would just tell you the story as if he was in the moment. And that's what reminds me of everything that I ever think about with Uncle Don. And he just lived his life that way. His whole life is just intense, and his love for his family, and I just always cherish and love the time that I get to spend with Uncle Don and the rest of the family. So thank you, Uncle Don, for that.
Thank you very much.
And I love you. So this is on the boardwalk in Ocean City with
Great
Christopher
picture.
and Chris and
Pat?
Michael Doc,
Michael?
Michael James,
Yep.
and Matty Moose, and Patrick. I think
Yep.
this was, 2 years ago maybe?
That's the last one he went to, wasn't it?
It might have been. Yeah, it was when we were watching the air show.
Yeah, the air show.
Last one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah.
I was just giving the guy the rent, and at first he said, "Is that all I told you guys?" I said, "Yeah, that's it." He said, "Yeah." And then he said, "Oh, you might want to catch the air show up on the boardwalk." I go, "Yeah, we might. We might." And Dad was naming the aircraft as they were going by. There's the J2F, and actually the J2F's over here, but it was. And how about that? I'll never forget the wing walker that day. I'm thinking. That's not a thing you want to put on your insurance application.
Was that a woman?
It was a woman.
She died.
Yeah.
She died last year in an air show.
Really?
Yes. Yes, up
the
in upstate New York.
Not tethered.
No, the airplane went in with her on the wing.
He would tell you always to strap in.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned just watching the PBY films, thank you, Michael, that was excellent.
Yeah, right off the bench
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah.
I want to share one other thing.
Oh, sit down. You had your time. Sit down.
I'm like Columbo. Just one more thing. Marcy mentioned Uncle Don coming to the house, and he would show up, at all the typical functions. Whether it was family, but at other times, inordinately, he would just show up, and he would come in and in his own way, take over the whole place. And I remember, it happened so many times, and Mom can probably remember all the times too, when she was trying to get something done, because Dad would stop everything and sit down and usually have a drink. and almost every single time it happened, whether it was a function that everybody was at, or one of these, ad hoc show up kind of deals, either a half an hour, depending on how late he was, or an hour or 2 hours, the phone would ring. and depending on what year it was either Marcy coming in or Mom coming in or one of the younger kids coming in and saying, Uncle Don, Aunt Meg's on the phone. And depending on how late he was, or how many drinks they might have had, he would either say, tell her I'll call her back, or tell her I'll be home in 15 minutes.
Tell her I'm on my way. I left 20 minutes ago.
Tell her I'm
I
back.
left 20 minutes ago. Not here.
No, I don't think you never said I'm not here, but very rarely would he get up and
Get on
answer
the
the
phone.
phone. But I remember my dad, who, you know, was probably the greatest man I ever knew. Looked up to Uncle Don in a very special way. Might have even been a little bit scared of him. Because he looked up to Uncle Don, who was the next one in age, a little differently than he did to Uncle Bob, who was like a hero to him. And Uncle Ned, who he really was, you know, maybe 15 years removed from, who he loved, but he didn't know, obviously, as well as Uncle Don. But I remember many times, everything would stop when Uncle Don hit. And he just made the place better. He put a smile on your face, always asked you what was going on, and he really cared.
Yeah.
Or acted like he cared. But I know he did. I know he did. But that's it for me. I may be back. Give me about 10 minutes.
Double dip.
Double dipper.
I know that the mind can absorb only what the rear can endure, but
Huh.
I want to tell two more stories.
Okay.
One
It'll be on
is
tape.
about Chris. And your
Smile.
connection with Chris because of basketball defense was very, very special. And Chris always played the toughest guy on the other team, and you'll have to help connect the dots. But I forget if it was Gene Banks, somebody that you were playing, and I thought it was Roman. But Uncle Don told him, what you want to do to prepare for this guy, it was a Friday night game. You told him, go down to Roman, do you remember this? Get into his last class. And just sit next to him and say, we're going to take this class together and get the night started together. But as close as we are right now, I'm going to be on you like this all night. Do you remember that? And the second story is you really helped save me from professional embarrassment. When I was working for a guy, Michael Glob, it was an entrepreneurial thing. I was between jobs and scared and trying to provide. And I couldn't play golf, so you and I rode the cart together at the reunion. And it had been on my mind, so it was a topic at the reunion about this guy who was under indictment. And Carol had said to me, you really got to get out of this thing because you're selling your soul out. And she was right, but I didn't listen to her because I was so worried about not making money. And I'm hanging in there. Uncle Don, in the quiet of this cart, before we left the course to go to the bar, while everybody's on the back nine, he said to me, so what are you doing with this thing? And I told him, and I was going through the rationalizations, and I shared Carol's concern. And he said, you got to go back there on Monday, and you got to get out of this thing. You can't be at the scene of this thing when it blows up. And the financial thing and all that you're worried about is going to take care of itself. You'll make money, you'll do whatever. But your reputation is at stake here. And this is too important to spend another minute and a half on. And within a week and a half, I think I was out of that thing. But you really penetrated to the core of what was going on there. And I thank you for that. I thank you very much for that.
Yeah.